Praises and cheers, family. We need to talk about Dan Dao, sexual Dan Dao specifically. So, sexual Dan Dao works for men in a different way than it works for women. Sexual Dan Dao for women is more of they can tap into the sexual alchemy and the sexual magic sooner than men can tap into the sexual magic and alchemy. What happens is women are naturally more on the water path, quote unquote. They are more spiritual. And so they have access to where the spirit, the sacred, and the programming components of reality are at more accessibly than men do, because men have testosterone coming out of their nuts, you could say, every single day on a 24-hour cycle. And so we are more geared to work from the bottom up rather than the top down. So what this means for us is that we are more geared to work from a sense of we do the sexual kung fu first. Then we move from sexual kung fu to sexual alchemy next. And then we move from creating a space where we can, in a Taoist terminology, make the spirit more sacred, make the spirit more soulful, change the Shin to Ling, have more Yang Shin than Yin Shin. And so that gives us the ability to now do sexual magic from a standpoint of a holistic nature. It's a little bit more vice versa for women. Again, they're more water path based beings. We are more fire path based beings. At the same time, when we're doing anything sexual, men, the sexuality is a water path thing. Sexuality is very much a whole water path thing if you're doing sexuality from a non-lustful standpoint. I actually need to flip around. I'm getting closer to a more busier road. So, I mean, it depends. If we're doing sexuality from a sense of, the modern day program sexuality that doesn't allow you to get healthy off of it, manifest your ideal reality, your inner child's dream reality, you can use sexuality for that. But if you're using sexuality for, I'm gonna use the sexuality to, boost my ego up, I'm gonna use the sexuality to relax, I'm gonna use the section which can be beneficial, but and both of those can be beneficial if done in balance. But when it's just for those things, it's especially in a world that's, in this light code lockdown that's, pushing upon the gravity that's being coded into people is porn based. It's more just, jackrabbit sexuality, and it's all fire. It's all how much burn can I get in the sexuality. And what, technically there is an aspect of the fire always in even the water path sexuality. But you have to also know that, most of the world is based in not even addressing the water element. And so when it comes to Dan Dao sexuality, transforming the elixirs into Dao, so that you can actually reprogram your whole reality, have a really healthy means of doing that through the alchemical process, and also be very grounded in the continuation and longevicness of that ability, of that skill, of that attainment, that mastery. That is going to come from the Kung Fu aspect of it. So you're going to want to get into all the things that I'm talking about from the most holistic nature. And there's not nobody here in the West, if you're listening to this in the West, that's going to be able to teach you these things, on a mass scale. Like there's nothing on social media that's going to be able to teach you these things on a mass, on a holistic mass scale. You have to get into a lot of times, even in the East, you have to get into a lineage. You have to get into a lineage. Or you're like someone like myself that has been studying this for 10 years and am at a point where, I've gotten my 10,000 hours in, so I can actually, talk about these things from a fully grounded sense. Because a lot of times, coming from the West, we have these sciences that don't equate to what the Eastern sciences from the ancient times, from the shamanic cultures of, raising yourself to be an angel is truly all about. In the West, we are all about, channeling the angels and, having the angels help us and such, which in the East, that goes against their science in a lot of ways, because their science is very much based in correspondence. It's based in cause and effect, karma, where you can only be talking with these angels if you are an angel. And so there's a lot of little things that, have to be addressed along the path of learning all these things, that if you haven't got your hours in, it's going to be, always a lot of gaps in your processing of these things. And the alchemy is going to be, short-circuited. The kung fu is going to be geared towards, not the most virtuous and holistic way of things. And there's going to be some burnout in the fire. And then the shin is always going to be leaking pretty much chi. The shin will always be leaking in a sense of energy. And so we have to be able to see that the East has certain things that the West just still, you can have all your Billy Carsons and your Greg Bradens and everything you want. But, there's so much that the East has from a base standpoint that the West still hasn't got to. Their standards of reality, their filter of reality is still a lot different than what the West has. Even though the West can have all these sciences, it still doesn't match up completely with the Western sciences. And so if you can combine both of those two, great. But that's going to take a long time in a lot of ways. So what I'm suggesting is you start to do the work enough to attract a master that can attract you to your higher self, and then your higher self can get you on the path. And this is in the Western standpoint, this is not a cheap thing. You know what I mean? To be able to pay a master to connect to your higher self. And in the Eastern standpoint, not just like, oh yeah, I know I got angels, I know I got a God, woo-doo, but to actually connect you to the energy, the consciousness, and the skills of your higher self. That's not a cheap thing. That's a $1 million training right there. If we're going to equate Western money to Eastern priority and attainment, that's $1 million thing. And so we just want to know more and more that when there are beings that are coming out with certain levels of mastery, we want to take everything with a grain of salt, but also invest when we can into, great works that beings are doing and bringing to the world. I mean, there's so much disclosure and so much unraveling that we are getting into. So much disclosure and so much unraveling. So let's just get into it. That's all it's about right now is getting into the disclosure, getting into the unraveling, falling in love with the work, letting the work be the recreation of your reality. let yourself get in touch with the Tao or God, thine self, so that you can recreate your reality, not needing any angels, because you have became one with the divine immortal realm where the angels exist at, and so that you can tap into the, the prime creator matrix and program all of the distorted matrices that have trickled from it. All right, beautiful. We're going to look at this bonsai tree, continue walking, and enjoy ourselves today. Y'all enjoy yourselves in all that you get into. Until next now, praises and cheers. Be in tune for all the new deals that are coming out right now. It's a 4-hour consultation from me. It's $1,200. You can get that anytime of the week that you want. I'm very mutable and flexible and making time for a lot of my clientele to go ahead and get this work in. That's coming with a lot of different technologies that the world doesn't know anything about to a vast degree. And so that's the current sale right now, just $300 an hour. Very simple. It's rebooting your whole reality to a certain degree, giving you access to transmission of Shaktipat from your actual divine blueprint, and letting you roll with that. So I do have a special deal coming out pretty soon. That's going to be a 4-month program. I will be releasing it this week. That's going to be giving you access to me multiple hours a week. And it's going to be around $10,000 for 4 months. Multiple access to me a week. Just a major deal. In actuality, a major deal. Pretty much like half off of what you are getting for my current deal. And it's more structured towards those that are really gearing towards shifting their reality on a holistic level and want to get that mastery going in their reality and be a prime source creator God in the angelic realms, as much as they are also in this third dimension, of this third dimension. You know what I mean? Like bringing that God force into this third dimension for themselves. So that's that, family. We will talk to you in another now. Once again, this is Baba Rave. Be light. Be bliss, be light. Be one with your might. Praises and cheers.